Hello, welcome back to BLENDERSUSHI Live Noding. In this episode, I'm gonna take you through this kind of creation. It's actually kind of basics, just four-wheel kind of crate. It's it's still not perfect. I need to kind of make a tweak, but I'm gonna share to you this the simple version of this. So basically, what we have now, it's a kind of this cartwheel where we can change the width and kind of how long this guy is or how thin this guy is. So this is kind of work, but it's not actually perfect. I actually want more control over the top part, like how wide it is actually, and then the bottom part, the wheel. Currently it's only generating 4 wheel, but I wanted to be able to kind of generate more wheels, and maybe in the end we can create some kind of like a simple roller coaster kind of cartwheels. Currently we just stick with this. We actually can do a little bit of solidify as well. I forgot to do right here. So solidify, if I'm not wrong, we can kind of use this to extrude this guy a little bit. So yeah, that's adding a little bit of thickness. Actually, I'm doing it in the opposite way because the way I design it. I wonder which one is the correct output. I think this is actually correct. If I bake it out, this guy, I think the normal it should be correct like this. Back face culling. No, actually I was wrong. This is actually the opposite side. So yeah, the normal needs to be flipped. Probably adaptive normal. Recalculate normal does the job for us. Bake. So if we turn on backface culling, this guy is doing the job. But if I kind of smooth it, it become like rounded like that. But maybe I can add bevel, things like that. But anyway, let's break this down and let's have a look. So there are actually only few parts of this cartwheel. You might already guess how you can create something like this. You basically start with a plane, okay, here, and the plane actually, because of limitations of the extrude separate polygon, extrude separate faces, we cannot have more than 2 because otherwise, you know, we get this kind of wheel. That's not what we want. We actually just, for this, we are limited to have like a 2. So it's just like a normal plane, just 4 vertices. You cannot have any subdivisions in the middle. I wish I can kind of do that, and then so we have more resolution. But that's okay. That's kind of it's okay. That's like the current limitation. We can always improve that. So we have a plane, and then we have extrude separate faces, and this guy, of course, controlling the extrusion. Currently, I'm actually extruding in the opposite way. That's why we get a flip normal. So normally you want to extrude a plane and you extrude it up. So you have a like upside down cartwheel. You can actually do that and kind of flip the cartwheel in the end. But anyway, I kind of invert that, and then after I do the inversions, the next thing I did was to join the mesh. And because I want to be able to select the vertices, so I was actually basically looking at the bottom vertices. You see this 4 vertices at the bottom, and then after I found out about the 2 vertices at the bottom, I can simply find the middle part between the 2 vertices. That's actually for this guy, the cylinder. So 0.5 is kind of the middle point which is actually this point. If I draw it using grease pencil, where's grease pencil? Oh, it's over there. So once I get the middle points, I can simply offset the middle points, and then this is where I offset the middle point right there, and then I'm using that points for the placement of the cylinder, which is basically this guy. So I have control over the cylinder here. I can make it like a little bit thicker or like a smaller. Currently, the way it's being designed, I can add subdivisions, but I think the height is actually controlled by this guy. So there's another limitation. If you want to make the cylinders a little bit kind of offset out, so you need to make some changes. So it looks like there are a lot of nodes, but really it's if we tidy this thing up, there's basically only cylinder, and the cylinder being placed at the in between this point and this point at the front, and this point at the back. So you have this cylinder parts for the wheel. And the next thing that I do is I have matrix apply and then center polygon. This is where I'm actually finding the center of this polygon, and I did another kind of, I'm using this least length and trying to find the last faces. Apparently the last faces is this guy, the cap at the top and at the bottom. So this is how I did that. List length and then get list item, so I get the cap of the cylinder. Once I found the cap, I can find the middle points of the cap, and then that's gonna be the placement of the wheel, and that's this guy. So I did that one by one for both of the cylinders. So this part is actually pretty simple. It's just a repeat. So now we have like kind of like symmetrical kind of cartwheel. Would be nice to be able to have like to make like a front or the back, make some kind of a difference, a little bit of details. This is what we have at the moment. I'm actually using vector rewire just in case the cylinder bits and then the wheel bits is a little bit in the wrong axis. You can easily use vector rewire. If I change it, for example, see that's wrong, but if you put it in the right axis using vector rewire, you get that pretty easily. For the wheel, actually, I started with circle, and then, oops, actually, I can't remember what's the radius, but anyway, I start with a circle and I extrude it, and I use solidify to add a thickness. This guy, actually, for the circle, I can use the same thing at the top as well, so they're matching front and back. So if I tidy this up, actually I can make it so that there is one monad for the wheel and one monad for the cylinder, and all we need to provide is just the cylinder bits. So if I make like a modification of tweak, ideally I want to be able to maybe I let the user kind of draw the cartwheel, and then by some kind of magic we get this cartwheel, and then the user can still kind of control, okay, how many wheels do you want? Maybe you want to have 8, so you have 4 on each side. Yeah, so that's the plan for the next one. I guess, like I said, it's a good idea to turn the wheel things into a monad, and then all we need to provide is just the matrices. Obviously, I think if we have like the front and the back positions, we can kind of create interpolation, so we have the in-between kind of wheel. So that's one idea to do that, so we can, you know, create some kind of like a tank. Yeah, but that's the idea here. And then in fact the whole things can be grouped into one monad that simply generate the wheels. That's ideal. um, but we always need to think how is the proportion, and how is what kind of parameters you want to give to the users. That's all something to think about. So we always kind of need to think about how it looks at as a whole, and then how one part relates to another part, and then if we do it properly and then everything is correct, we're gonna get result that's kind of modular, and then you can always improve and add more parameters to it. So yeah, maybe I'll tweak this a little bit more, and then we will see. Okay, that's pretty much it for this live coding video. If you have any questions or comments, suggestions, just let me know down below, and then I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for tuning in.